Welcome to Soltron. This is the Abbrev review of Rise of the Beast, Wheeljack, Nightbird, and Cheetor. So I got this set at Target for like $51, and I thought that was a pretty good deal for 3 Studio Series figures, but now I'm realizing that these are not Studio Series quality. But anyway, this is Wheeljack. I don't know why he looks like this. He reminds me of a lot of like Donatello from like the newer Ninja Turtles. I don't know. I guess somebody's into this nerd look. I don't know. It doesn't do anything for me. I'm really not a fan of it. And then Nightbird, I think actually looks pretty good. She's got, yeah, some junk on her back here, and the hip kibble is pretty bad. But otherwise, she looks pretty good. I really like her angular, blocky legs and arms. And her head sculpt, I think, is really impressive looking. So I actually like how this one turned out. I don't mind the colors that much either. The brown is like not too bad. It's not that usual brown, gold kind of brown that we see. Like this kind is kind of like overdone, so it's nice to see something a little bit different. And then Cheetor I think looks really good. Yeah, we've got that like kind of tired gold brown, kind of a coppery kind of color actually. But yeah, I think he turned out really excellent. I'm just really impressed how good he looks, just like his Beast Wars counterpart, but with like some extra little mechanical detail. So let's get a look at Wheeljack's face. Yeah, it's got all the worst parts of Bayformers. I really don't like all these extra little mechanical bits around the face. It just looks really weird and like wrinkles. It just looks kind of fleshy and weird. None of the rest of his body has all that random garbage. Why does his face look like that? Why can't it just be a little smoother? But yeah, I'm not really into this head sculpt. It's really weird. The goggles actually look like they're a separate part, but they don't move up or anything, unfortunately. And then we got, I think, probably the best head sculpt out of the 3. Nightbird's really reminds me of like an Egyptian goddess. Just such a cool looking head sculpt. The paint is on point. Like that purple paint does like such a good job all over this figure, especially here. It really sticks out on the sword. Like the purple paint does a lot of heavy lifting, even though the rest of the paint on this is kind of trashy looking. And then we get Cheetor's head, very much like his Beast Wars head. Looks really cool. I can see why they didn't use this in the movie. It's a little bit too fan pleasing, I guess. They had to go a different direction. But then, yeah, I thought these were like Studio Series kind of size because she actually scales pretty good with, what is this, Sideswipe? And she looks like she'd be about, like when she transforms, she'd be like the size of a normal car. I guess he's a lot blockier, and that kind of gives some of it away. But yeah, the quality of these figures is pretty impressive. I'd say it's pretty much on par with Studio Series figures, except for they use more ball joints. I think Studio Series uses more universal joints, and these just have like ball joints everywhere. It's like a cost-cutting measure, but the ball joints are all like pretty good tolerances. They feel good. Nothing's like overly loose. So these are actually pretty well made. And I think considering they're like $17 each, this is actually a pretty good deal for this set. I really recommend it. Yeah, Cheetor especially, he turned out really good. He's probably the only one of the set I'm going to keep. Oh yeah, so the accessories, he's got like this tail whip, which is better than his normal tail whips because it actually looks like a weapon. So this is actually a pretty big improvement of the normal tail weapons. And then he's got his gut gun, which when you transform him actually sits in his gut, which is pretty impressive. And then it's got like this tiny little barrel that sticks out. So it's a tiny little gun. It's not painted at all, but it's there. It's not bad. Of course, I guess the place where they really cheaped out on these figures is the paint. There's just not a lot going on. I think Cheetor turned out pretty good. But yeah, there's mostly just accent painting. There's not a lot. I don't know. No, now that I say that, this paint is actually not too bad. This guy could have used a little bit more, but yeah, they actually look pretty good. So I'm not sure where the cost cutting was. I guess just the ball joints. Even though Nightbird has like the universal joints, you can see they didn't cheap out on her hips. They could have easily made that a ball joint. But yeah, they have all the standard articulation that you'd expect. They have everything. Waist, knees, everything. Ankles. Oh yeah, I guess we should look at the other weapons. So we got Like this really cool sword that comes with Nightbird that becomes the car spoiler. And then she's got this like kind of claw weapon, which helps hold up the spoiler. And then she's got a couple tabs back here so you can peg in the sword for storage, which is very nice. So it's cool that she has storage for her weapon. And then you get like this kind of generic alien looking gun. This doesn't even look like anything. This just looks like, yeah, generic alien looking gun from like the dollar store. I don't think he has a weapon. I guess you could peg it in back here. That could be his weapon storage. I'm just going to transform these guys all off camera. But yeah, I want to talk about like why does Cheetor have these ball joint wrists that can like do this curling motion? Like it's not for transformation. It's just a really weird choice. Like they could have just made a post. I don't know why they gave him that extra articulation. I guess bonus articulation is good. And they do a really cool thing in the transformation with the legs. So this is like the robot mode leg, and it's got like this joint. So I've never seen a transformer do this before. And then this rotates, which is probably the cheapest way to like rotate this in, which is what you would expect it to do. But it's interesting that half of his calf comes up. And then that's also kind of a bad thing because these don't peg in place. So his calf actually does not reconnect. Nightbird could actually be pretty annoying to transform, like especially pegging everything together in car mode and making sure all the panels line up and clip into place is pretty difficult. But like one of the most difficult is getting this hood section over her head because it sticks out and you can see the clearance is just not there. You got to like turn her head all the way to the side and then maybe lean it back, and then you can just barely clear that without scraping her purple paint off her head. And then you just push this even further up so you can remember to get the hood out here. So that's something to keep in mind for this figure. Like you gotta turn her head to the side. I don't think that's in the directions. All right, and here's everybody transformed. So Wheeljack's looking pretty good. Actually, yeah, not a bad amount of paint. And yeah, he looks pretty good, but you can see like compared to a car, compared to Nightbird, he's a good size. And she looks really cool. This is a really awesome looking car. And of course, we've got some more of that purple paint in here on the rear view mirrors. And we get some ugly looking tires, unfortunately. It would be nice if they had pins. That's probably some cost cutting there. Oh wait, this guy has one set of pins and then just regular caps. And then of course, Cheetor is looking really great. His mouth does open, but like I can't even pry that open anymore. I'd have to use like a little hobby knife to get in there. But yeah, he's got like his regular cheetah articulation that you are used to, and his gun is like right there in his gut under his arm right there. So that's really cool. And then yeah, I mostly bought this set because I'm going to repaint Cheetor into his Beast Wars colors because I saw somebody else did that and it looked really cool. Oh yeah, but so let's look at a problem with this set. Obviously, Cheetor is really good. His quality feels really good. These two feel pretty good too. They're not bad. Playing with them is pretty fun. And this is what made me realize like this is probably not really a Studio Series figure. Like this car is like at a much smaller scale than the Legacy figures we've been getting. Like that doesn't scale at all. It's just very tiny. So it's crazy how much smaller that is. And then even this van looks pretty wrong compared to a normal size car. It just does not work. So the scaling is definitely off. I'm really interested to seeing what they'll do with the Studio Series Nightbird because this rendition is really nice already. But yeah, it's a pretty good set. I recommend it. It's probably not very good for kids because this transformation is pretty difficult. This guy is pretty hard to transform too, to get everything lined up and remember to flip out these panels. But Cheetor is nice and simple. He's very easy to transform. He would be good for like a 9-year-old, 10-year-old, but probably not these two. They're a little bit too fiddly. Yeah, maybe, but not maybe like for a first grader, 7-year-old, that'd be too hard. But yeah, anyway, yeah, I'll see you in the next one, and then pretty soon you'll see the repaint of this guy.